everyone. I'm Cathilea Robinett, President and CEO of eRepublic, the parent company of Governing Magazine. We are starting a new series where we're featuring the 2025 Governing Public Officials of the Year. For over 25 years, we have been selecting and celebrating those individuals who are truly making government better. We hope that you enjoy these conversations. Today, I'm excited to be joined by Columbus, Ohio Mayor Andrew Ginther. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
So first of all, let me just dig in here. I really am curious about your personal journey. I know you were on the city council, but what brought you to public service in the first place?
Well, for me, I had an unusual childhood. My mom and dad fostered for about the better part of 30 years. So one point or another, they counted up that 47 foster brothers and sisters had come through our house growing up. So really kind of born into a family of service. Dad was a Vietnam War veteran. Mom was a social worker and help kids get adopted and get into foster care themselves as a social worker. So kind of born into a family of service. And I figured this would be a way for me to serve my community. And so as a Columbus City School graduate, I decided to run for the school board when I was 24 years old and wanted to give back and contribute, and have thoroughly enjoyed my service on the local level on both the Board of Education and City Council, time as council president. Now I'm in the middle of my third term as mayor.
Wow, I love that. Well, as you and I were discussing earlier, Columbus has seen incredible growth the last couple of decades, unlike some other Midwestern cities. So what do you think has made the city so successful, and how have you kept this momentum going this whole time?
Well, we're big believers in the Columbus way. We believe that we do public-private partnerships better here than anywhere else in the country. And it's also because we're not really, we're really trying to govern growth, not just manage it. So growth is not necessarily positive unless city systems keep pace. Scaling infrastructure ahead of demand, aligning housing needs and creating 100,000 affordable housing units, and really creating these intentional work pipelines. Columbus really treats growth as a planned obligation, not a political victory lap. And we believe there are lessons for our peers that cities must invest before pressure shows up in neighborhoods and you see displacement, gentrification, other negative aspects of growth. If you're not purposeful and intentional, our goal is to make sure that everybody is benefiting from Columbus's success, whether you were born and raised here or you came here last week to study at the university or take a new job or start a family.
And just to follow up to that, what are a few of your greatest accomplishments so far?
Really all of the great work that we've been doing regionally. What we talk about is safety, housing, and transit, our region's top three priorities. And one of the reasons we've seen one of the greatest reductions in homicides and violent crime since 2007 is because of our commitment to changing the culture within the Division of Police and being really focused on 21st century community policing. I hired our first chief of police in the history of the division from outside the Division of Police, and with other major changes and investments. We always reject false choices in Columbus. This is a both and community, not neither or. So we put a significant amount of transparency and accountability into our Division of Police, body-worn cameras, the Civilian Review Board, Inspector General. But right now we have the largest police class in our academy since the pandemic, and have funded 3 police classes every year for the last several years. We believe that we need more officers, but we also know the community wants to hold them to a higher standard and make sure that we're being transparent and accountable. Some of the other things we're doing around economic development, again, we're doing regionally. I believe strongly that the strongest communities in this country, and I would argue the world, are ones that are acting regionally. So whether it's safety, whether it is transit, we passed one of the largest transit infrastructure issues overwhelmingly last year on the ballot. And one of the ways we did that is engage with all the political subdivisions of the region, to engage with them, to have them see why this matters to them. Because whether you're a city, a suburb, or an ex-urban community, we know safety, housing, and transit are critical. And we're going to launch next month the Regional Housing Coalition with this goal of building 200,000 more units in the next 10 years so that we can make sure that everybody who works in this community can afford to live here too.
You've really known for a lot of your regional collaboration, but also I want to talk a little bit about your bipartisan collaboration, which today for me is just really inspiring. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm blessed to serve as the past president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. We argue that we're one of the last bipartisan organizations left in America. I'm a Democrat from Columbus, and my successor is David Holt, the Republican mayor of Oklahoma City. Todd Gloria, Democratic mayor of San Diego, will succeed him. And then Leary and Gaylor Baird, Democratic mayor of Lincoln, Nebraska, will succeed Todd in a few years. We believe strongly that America works best when all voices are heard and we're working together. And quite honestly, as the old joke goes, there's not a Republican or Democratic way to pick up the trash, plow the streets, and keep neighborhoods safe and create jobs. So this is really our focus. And I think, quite honestly, our states and our federal government could learn a lot from listening to mayors and following mayors' leads who are interested in solving. I always say people hire mayors to solve problems. And quite honestly, there's not a better Republican or Democratic way to solve problems at the local level. You need leadership. You need to be able to cooperate and collaborate. Former mayor of Tampa, Bob Buckhorn, used to say that some people run for office to be, mayors run for office to do. And that is what I am so excited to be part of here in Columbus and with great mayors around the country. I'm very fortunate too also to have a relationship close personally and professionally with our Republican governor, Mike DeWine. Nothing brings you closer together like a global pandemic. And so Governor DeWine and I had to make some very difficult decisions early on in the pandemic. In fact, our Arnold Sports Expo, which is one of the biggest weekends of the year in early March, led by former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's been a huge event that's been in Columbus for decades. That was the first major event to be canceled back in March of 2020. And obviously, we've learned a lot since then. But those types of challenging and difficult times, if you remain committed to collaboration and partnership, it can bring Republicans and Democrats together to do the best they can for the people they serve with the best information they have at the time.
Yeah, and I think we need so much more of this. So thank you for all that great work. And I love the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Some of my favorite memories actually are at U.S. Conference of Mayors. So
great.
So you've been focused on long-term sustainable growth. And which, all of this is really hard work, right? I love that mayors do a lot. What do you hope that Columbus's growth looks like in a decade from now?
That it is dynamic and inclusive. We don't want to just get bigger. We want to get better. And we want to make sure that the people that were born and raised in this community get to benefit as much from our success as those that are coming to help build it from other places. I want the children of Columbus regardless of where they live, to see themselves in the future of this city. And so that's why we believe that it's so critically important to focus on making sure that every family in every neighborhood is sharing in our success. And that's why, equity really is a structural question, not a slogan. And equity is built into our budget decisions, our capital planning, our service delivery, and really having a systems discipline, not a program. And this is really about embedding fairness into governing mechanics, not adding standalone initiatives. And so our goal is really to make sure that the future of Columbus, which is going to involve a great deal of growth, that growth benefits everyone as opposed to just some.
Yeah, I love that. So if you look at other mayors across the country, some are, in small cities, medium-sized cities, large cities. What do you have to say to them? Any advice for getting all of these things that you've been able to accomplish done in their cities?
What I'd encourage my colleagues to do is to really focus on process, not scale. We're just under 1 million people inside the city of Columbus, a region of about 2.5 million. We anticipate growing in the city and in the region by a third over the next 30 years. There are other communities around the country that are going to be smaller or larger. This is really about process, not scale. I'd really encourage folks to plan for growth and to really embrace that. A wise woman once told me, people don't fear change, they fear loss. And so it's really important when growth is coming to embrace it and shape that growth around your community's values so that folks, even though change is coming, and change is certainly coming here, growth is coming. That's not up for discussion, debate. It is coming. And so how do we embrace it and shape it around our values, like linking land use, housing, and workforce as we contemplate that growth?
Yeah, and finally here, as I wrap up, not every place has the Columbus way, I will tell you, since I spend my life in this market.
Mm-hmm.
So, what keeps you motivated, and what advice do you have for all those other amazing public servants out there, regardless of their position, who want to accomplish more good things?
Well, I would encourage people to get organized. And I know that we're blessed with a very organized and committed business community here called the Columbus Partnership. And so I'm very fortunate as a mayor. I am able to get so much more done by having an organized and engaged business community. As you probably know from your reporting, sometimes you can't get a mayor and a city council in the same room, let alone the business community, a mayor, the county commissioners and city council folks. And so this Columbus way is a spirit, it is a culture, but like everything in our lives, the moment we don't invest in it, lean into it, pay attention to it, continue to nurture it, or take it for granted, that can be lost. And so I would really encourage folks to help get organized with elected officials locally at the state and federal level, organizing your business community and leveraging them to help with these larger civic goals and getting both your CEOs, but other elected officials to think about not the crisis of today, but the future we're going to build together. It's exciting. I can't imagine being the mayor anywhere else in America. This is a very special place, and I couldn't be more excited about Columbus's future.
Oh, well, that is so great. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy busy day, I'm sure, to join me. And again, congratulations on being a governing public official of the year for 2025.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Happy holidays. Best of luck to everything.